My name is Melvin Isaac, and we at the Bric Arts Media, and we on the second floor, and we at my show, which is the Artistic Talent Show. And like I said, I got two fabulous, outstanding artists, excellent artists, and they're gonna be sharing their story about who they are and what kind of art they're gonna be discussing, and previous art. Okay, so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what three words friends and family would use to describe you?
Hello, my name is Meredith Chandler. I'm the youngest daughter of Violet Hewitt. And three words friends would describe me as: one with patience, event planner, and cook, a great cook.
Some would say that I could be very sarcastic, very opinionated. The third one, of course, is an animal lover.
Yes.
Okay, that sounds very, very good. And by the way, the viewers that's hearing this out here, we are again at the Bric Art Medium on the second floor at the Mini Studio. And we're doing both things where you can actually see the video, and it would be also a radio where it's just the audio, so it's like a podcasting. So it's going to be very, very good. These are some very challenging questions at times, but the ones that I have right here with me, they're very educated and inspirational. They can inspire you. They tell what they feel, and you want to hear a lot of good stuff from them. So the next question is, what inspired you to wake up every morning? Starting with you?
Me? Okay. Well, every morning I'm just grateful to open my eyes. And I've lost so many people within these past few months, so I just thank God that I am here for another day. And that's for me.
Well, that goes for me too.
Mhm.
I get up, I feel my pulse. I have a pulse. I
Mhm.
thank God I have a pulse, and I'm grateful that I am in relatively good health.
Yes.
So you can't diminish that.
Mhm.
Oh, very good answers. Who would you say inspired you?
It has to be both my parents. Both my parents. My father with his discipline, my mom with her art, especially, but her attitude that life, a lot of things in life, it's not as serious as you may think it is. Take time, just enjoy what's in front of you, and don't take things so seriously, because there's far greater things at the moment.
Inspiration comes from any number of different sources. Parents, of course, is a good basis for it. You can find inspiration in the wonders of God. You can find inspiration in looking at children. Every day, it's a different source. It's not just one single entity that makes you glad to be who you are.
Great. Tell the world, what challenges have you struggled with to become an artist? Always starts out with you first.
Always. Truthfully, I really started drawing when my mom passed away. She passed away on Christmas Day, and I just found myself at night not able to sleep, just very distracting. So I would just get up, and I just started using her paintbrushes and her paint, and just started on my own, just painting. And it's something I didn't realize I had inside of me, but I found it a form of therapy, and I just started to paint.
Well, I've been involved with art for years. I mean, we all did start at believe it or not, the
I
Brooklyn
forgot.
Museum as children. And I started at age 6 and continued to age 16 when I went to Brooklyn College, and then I picked up wood carving. And as an adult, I also started with stained glass making. You know, I used to do lead work, but my mother got us all pretty much started pretty early, just as her father and got her started in art with her family at a pretty early age. So it's always been there.
But you've been more involved than I have. You've had your photography.
I forgot about that.
And your painting. You really did more in terms of art than I mean, I've done. I have not really been so involved as you have been.
Well, don't shortchange yourself. I've seen the work you did with your kids as a teacher over the years, and that's that wasn't slight, because they do some pretty amazing things. But they did, for schoolwork, which was something that unfortunately our Board of Ed doesn't emphasize as much as they should, teaching art to children and music to children. But I'm glad to see there are some schools that are trying to bring it back. Mm-hmm. But as I said, inspiration comes from a number of different sources. And now we just have to be mindful of the fact that many of these sources are drying up. And that's why I'm grateful that they have something like a Fulton Art Fair that showcases a lot of these artworks, because it's been taken for granted of late.
Yeah, that raised a question. Some of the stuff you already answered, but are you self-taught, or did you go to school to learn art?
Should I field that one first? I'm not self-taught. I went to the Brooklyn Museum School for a number of years, and I also learned art under Nancy Azara at Brooklyn College for a number of years. And as I said, my family, first cousins, uncles, aunts, they've had scholarships to go to Cooper Union, Pratt Institute at a time when it wasn't popular for black people to be even considered. I've had cousins who went to visual arts and the School of Music and Art. So, I mean, we've always been surrounded by these talented people. Happy to say that I worked with my first cousin at Museum of Modern Art for a number of years, teaching filmmaking as a teenager. So it was always something that just presented itself as, time went on, and I've always been lucky to be around it. I've even taken photographs for Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration. I've done work for them, but I mean, it's just something we've always been exposed to.
Yes, at a very early age. I can't even. It's just so natural. I just remember as a child running around the Fulton Art Fair, looking at all the artists, the paint, and you're just surrounded by it. You never really thought about it. It just came natural to you, because that's all I've known growing up, just the art world that my mother introduced us to. And I did, at an early age, she did have all of us enrolled at the Brooklyn Art Museum, and that was the only formal classes that I've had. But that didn't really, I was only there for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years, but I didn't stay with it like you did. You continued, and I just started with my guitar lessons that I can laugh at now.
Well, that's art. That's a form of art.
I never really considered myself a true artist, but I'm not self-taught, but we were constantly surrounded by it, so it just seemed natural.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this is a 2-part question. When did you start drawing, and how many mediums do you work in?
You mean crayons in kindergarten kind of thing?
The medium.
Yeah,
crayons in kindergarten.
Yeah. As a teacher, watercolors, myself. I just started dabbling with my mother's acrylics, but it's just all, to me, it's new to me. But Violet has been, you've done so many with your sculptures, with the wood, with your with the black, and what do you call it, the like the ink, I forget. Calligraphy, yes.
Yeah, you did calligraphy too.
Shortly, yes, for a short while. Your photography, you've done much more in the terms of
Well, my wood sculptures ended up, as my father lovingly said, as cat scratching posts, but we won't go there. Um, but like I said, it's wonderful when you grow up in a household where art is a natural thing. I mean, my daughter's great grandfather, my mother's father, was a participant in the Fulton Art Fair. So even as kids going over there to his house, I mean, he played a guitar for us. I mean, we were always surrounded by live music. We were always surrounded by people who worked in the arts. So it wasn't something we were really conscious of until as we got older, we became more appreciative of it. As a kid, you never really, it was taken for granted. And my mother would tell you that as a kid, she was one of 5 kids, and all of them were outrageously gifted. And she would copy their work as a 6-year-old. And but she thought it was perfectly natural. Doesn't everybody? And from there it evolved into fashion illustrations and the work that you will soon see as your slideshow.
Yes. Okay, Violet. Me and you was discussing about the organization or things that you do to have people to come over. I think I came over a few times for a church auction or church exhibit. So tell us, do you belong to any art organization, and tell us about that particular art exhibit, and what do you do?
Well, this is where my modesty comes in. Gabriel Caesar, a member of our church of St. Martin de Porres, had this marvelous idea to showcase artists who were local and artists within the parish. And this will be our 3rd or 4th year. We're going into our 4th year of showcasing artwork at a fabulous space called the Waldorf School, which is it's rented by our church to the Waldorf School. Their open area provided the perfect venue to set up artwork from the artists. I mean, we've had no less than a dozen artists that we would showcase over a period of a full weekend.
You're trying to involve a lot of younger student children as well.
It's exactly right. We've now decided to expand that to include. We've had an art contest just this last show, so we're trying to draw in the kids in the neighborhood as well as the kids that attend the Waldorf School. So that will be going on again this coming March of 2019, and we hope that will become a regular feature.
Yeah, that sounds very, very, very good. As leaders in your community, you're doing a very fantastic work, very inspirational, inspiring to a lot of young people. Of course, they will come. So tell me, have you had any commissions?
I haven't had any commissions since I was in high school, so we're going back quite a few years. That's when I was a photographer for, believe it or not, Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration. We took photographs of the Kennedy kids in the ice skating rink. Since then, I've exhibited, but it's rare that I ever sold anything because, quite frankly, very few pieces of mine ever went up for sale. So I've been more like a curator over the years, helping my mom with her artwork and getting her set up, and then setting up the curating the show, such as the one I just described.
As for me, no.
People
Like
have
my
asked
mom.
to
People
buy
have
her
asked,
work, but she would
no.
not sell it. Oh, well, let's
But
not
just-
forget the shirts we made. You remember what we made those?
gosh.
We made hand painted sweatshirts and
Sweatshirts,
T-shirts. My mom silk screened a few designs, and we filled them in, and then some we did freehand. Those we sold a lot of.
Those we
That's
sold.
when I was working with the
Yes.
city, so we sold a lot of those. And they
and
were
also with Ani Millar, who was
Mhm.
also one of the first art participants. I remember she and Mom, we would sit in the yard with children, with a lot of the kids,
That's
line,
right.
and they introduced them to painting.
Yeah, they made
shirts.
headpieces.
They made headpieces and yes.
And T-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, Ani Millard at the Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration started a thing called Generations.
Mm-hmm.
And she had 3 generations of artwork. She had
That's
my
true.
mother's generation, she had my generation, and she had my daughter, her niece's generation participate. And they had that in the Skylight Gallery at the Restoration
Restoration
Arts
Center. This
Center.
was
So that was
a few
pretty,
years ago.
pretty.
Mhm.
That was pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Tell us, we're going to change the conversation just a little bit because we have a few more questions, just a couple more before we get into the slideshow with your mother and a lot of other stuff that was going on at that particular time. But tell us about Dorsey. How important is Dorsey Gallery to you?
To me, well, I just grew up with Dorsey's Gallery. Every year, 2 things my mother always had to, 2 events my mother always had to participate was Dorsey's Gallery and the Fulton Art Fair. She always looked forward to Dorsey's. I just remember helping her get her organize her paintings and get herself ready to attend Dorsey's. And Violet used to take her every year for the thank you show.
Yeah, they had an auction every year for the
Children's
Hospital.
Right.
Mhm. Dorsey is the icon of black artists over the decades. I mean, anybody who in Brooklyn exhibited at Dorsey's, people have gotten their start through Dorsey's gallery that are now world renowned. So you can't think of artists in Brooklyn without mentioning Dorsey's gallery, because they just recently had an attic or trunk show, and at that show they found positively gems of artwork that was stored within his building that they were able to auction off. So Dorsey they renamed the street after him. There's a lot of history there. I mean, Dorsey's is the Schaumburg of Brooklyn. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Who are you and what is your purpose in life? I know that's a tough one right there. But it's really a simple question. Who are you and what's your purpose in life?
I think that's a question you probably should ask our daughters, nieces, and nephews. At this point in my existence, I'm just trying to pave the way for people coming behind me. I'd like to think I have a bit more mileage to go. However, right now, I like to think that I'm just elevating the next generation to pick up where I left off. Because as my mother left us to carry on her work, now it's time for us to be the elders, if you will, for the kids that are coming up behind us. That's why that 3-generation art show Ani Millard started was so important. I'd like to see something like that moving forward. Who am I? Who I am is not as important as how do people respond to whatever I'm trying to teach them, in the years to come.
Yeah, that is a tough one, Melvin. Who am I? Oh, I just like to think of myself as someone who left some mark in this world. And I say that through the students that I've taught. I taught special education for 35 years, recently retired, and I just hope that I was able to inspire them in some way, and I don't know.
You
I
have
just
made a
want to-
difference. That graduation that you recently attended
yes.
spoke volumes. Those photographs that you
Mhm.
sent.
Yes.
That kid was
That kid was-
certainly elated.
Oh, yes. Well, I've always work with children with special needs, and just seeing my 21-year-old Daniel graduate, that really made my heart feel good. So yes.
Shout out to Daniel.
Yes.
So this is the last question, and y'all can give a shout out as well. And each one of y'all can, just give a message to the young people or to other artists out there in your community or outside of your community. Some inspirational word to inspire them, because they're looking for leadership that they can look up to, that can guide them, sort of like how you've been guided. So give a message to the people out there. Give a shout out if you need that as well. But let them know, that they not by themselves. Inspire them.
I guess what you really need to know is just to be yourself. Just be true to yourself. And something that may sound so simple. Let me see.
I would add another layer to that. It's good. I think that to be yourself is also should be linked with be responsible. Many of the, let's just say, lyrics of the songs that I hear nowadays, using the B word over and over again, using the F word over and over again. They're being themselves, but they're not being real. They're being something that they're that doesn't reflect the richness of our history, the richness of our culture. And when you denigrate yourself to that point, you lose
plain and simple respect.
Exactly. And I mean, if you as an artist, I think we have a responsibility to show the world the beauty of the world. We have a responsibility to show the beauty of others. And when we denigrate ourselves by using the profanity, for example, or showing disrespect for one another, as an artist, you've lost the goal. It's particularly as black people, you have to rise to a higher level. We've been, you talk of being downtrodden, you talk of being, disrespected, not able to vote. I mean, we can go on and on and on with history lessons. And that's why moving forward, we don't need other people who look like us and act like us disrespecting us even more. I think there's people should take on a moral obligation to be more responsible about what they portray and how they portray it. To make a long story short, nothing upsets me more than to be walking down the street, the car windows are down, there are children sitting in the back seat, and they have the radio blasting full volume, and there's nothing but profanities coming out of the speakers. That just doesn't make any sense. And as a people, if you're old enough to have children, you should be old enough to teach them, basic morals, basic philosophies about who you are in your culture without you denigrating yourself that way.
Okay, we get ready to go on to the second part, but just before we do, would y'all like to give out information to the public of how they can reach you if they might need an art piece, or they might need to talk to you about something, or they even might want to know about the next upcoming event that is coming up that you're giving, Violet?
Well, the art shows that we've been curating have been through the St. Martin de Porres website. So that would be a good place to check out, at future curating art shows that we may be having in the near future. As far as upcoming events, of course, the Fulton Art Fair would be a good place to start, because anything that we'll have to showcase will hopefully be showcased for them in the next season to come. So that website is also available to our listeners and our viewers.
Yeah, well, the first that came to my mind was the Fulton Art Fair, because this year, even though Mom is no longer physically here with us, people were happy that I did come out and I did bring some of her artwork to show on display, and many have asked that I would continue to do so, and I promise that we will continue to participate in the Fulton Art Fair, and we will have work there on a yearly basis as well.
Yeah, that sounds very, very great.
And
So-
don't forget Dorsey's gallery.
And Dorsey's.
Oh no, never forget about Dorsey. Dorsey's gonna be there. And there's something else that is coming up, and that's at the Restoration Plaza on Fulton Street, and there will be art from the Fulton Art Fair members that will be displaying their art on the first floor. So there's another place. That information will be given to you shortly. We will put it across the screen, and that way the public can know when to come to view the art. So again, I want to thank both of y'all very, very much for allowing me to interview you. Y'all been very helpful. Y'all been very inspiring. You motivate a lot of people out there that's listening to this and watching you. So that's a very, very good thing. We need a lot of sisters like y'all, adults, that a lot of people look up to. We need this, and we need a lot of these shows where they can look at Turner Channel and see something positive, something that they can get involved with. So I want to thank you again. But we're not finished yet. This is just the first part, because now we're going to get into a slideshow, and each one of them going to be talking about the art within the slideshow. And then we're going to show a preview of this Violet Chandler that was, I think it was 2016 at the
Yeah.
Fulton
So.
Art Fair.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we're going to show that as well. So don't go nowhere. Stay tuned. Don't change that dial, and we'll be right back.
This is one of my mother's signature pieces, and you'll notice there's similarities as we go through that resemble our grandchildren, or I should say her grandchildren, that she would pick up a certain look or certain face. This one looks a lot like my daughter's face in many respects. And as my mother evolved, she would pick a particular child to do a lot of paintings of, and you will see Meredith's face on a number of paintings too. And then the next generation's my daughter, and I noticed that toward the end, her great-granddaughter Ava appeared in some of the pictures. But you'll notice the details, because she was a fashion illustrator. There's a little lace around the collar. There's little blossoms of flowers around the shirt itself. So you'll see more of that as you pass through.
Well, that was one that I painted shortly after my mother passed away. Just spur of the moment. I think might have been after one of the award shows, so that's probably what was in my head at the time, and this is a result.
Yeah, this is another one of Meredith's paintings, and what I like about it, it shows our Bayesian heritage. Women were carrying the baskets of fruit on their head, and the colorful outfits. You'll see that in some of Ma's paintings too, which you drew your inspiration.
Yes. A boy, during the years, she was told that she really didn't have many boys, so she started to draw more of little boys, again with the hats. As you can see, she just loved children in hats, and that's actually how she dressed us growing up as well. Oh,
Again, with the Bayesian influence.
yes.
Matter of fact, remember we used to do the sweatshirts and T-shirts. You put
T-shirts.
designs like that on them too. That we
It's probably what I was thinking of at the time, without even being conscious of it.
right.
That's the girl with the gold bangle. That was one of my favorites, and she's actually
Need to get out of the way.
sitting on a stool. Yes, that shows the innocence. There's something about this painting, and a lot of people have mentioned this to me as well, that the paintings with the children, they all have like an innocence, a calmness, just a serenity about it all, and this is one that brings all of that to mind. Oh, that was during one of my paint and sips.
The
but
St.
it's
Martin de
St.
Porres,
Martin,
our
the
church sponsored a paint and sip event, and hopefully they'll do it again next year.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it looks
Tapped
like you guys
into-
had a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Now this piece began, and I should probably try to slide out of the way so you can get a better look. Yeah, this piece began my mother's groups of children that she started, I guess, back in 1998, between 98 and 93. And there is a winter scene of a group of kids. This was the first, and the winter scene was another one that they used on Christmas cards.
Mhm.
And the winter scene is on permanent display at the Schomburg Museum.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my mom. Now, if you look about here, this painting where my hand is in front of, that began a series where my mother's great-granddaughter began to appear, Ava. You could see a lot of her features of her face in those paintings.
And there's one of mother and child, but I believe your hat is blocking it.
Oops,
but
sorry.
that was also part of her.
Go back that way.
Yes, of her her masterpiece, her cards.
Mm-hmm.
She did a lot of mother and child and religious theme based Christmas cards, illustrations. And the one, the top, I believe she called her the thinker, the one with the little girl with her hand. Yeah, that was the thinker. Yes. Mhm.
Okay, once again, you see the little boys and the themes in the background underneath the umbrella. She's also done a lot of people that look like the refugees from Africa. The little girl wearing the red headpiece. That one is one of a few in a series. And there's another one that, again, using an African inspiration. Also under the umbrella, will be way over here, right over your shoulder. There.
I think I'm trying.
And then there's another larger piece with the little girl wearing a gele. So you'll see a few of them, showing up in a lot of her pieces. And that's Meredith. And those are more my sister wearing this year's T-shirt design
Yes.
for the Fulton Art
Yes,
Fair.
yes,
Now we can get into the final part, and we have a video of your mother, Miss Violet Chandler.
The real Violet Chandler.
The
She used to
real
tell
Violet
me.
Chandler. Yes.
Violet Hewitt, as she said, Chandler.
Violet Hewitt, yeah.
And we're going to listen to her words describing the art and when she was at the Fulton Art Fair in 2016.
16.
I think it was June 2016.
Yes.
Welcome to the Fulton Art Fair, and in fact the very first one 58 years ago, me and my family participated in that. I didn't think it was going to go on this long. I mean, because some of them weren't even born yet. Some of my kids. But it held up good on all these years, and we've had a lot of the artists that started off with me have passed on, but their work is still around. Like right across the street, they have the mural done by Ernest Critchlow, and that's, in fact, that makes the whole building look so better. But and it was quite a long journey that the Fulton Art Fair took, because I know it was very hard to get a permit to use the park, and Shirley Hawkins, she was a businesswoman. She's managed to get it for us, and we've been going on ever since. In fact, at some years, artists went all around the block, from down Stuyvesant Avenue, all up Chauncey Street. But they're trying to get it, get enough young people now, because all the ones in my generation now, they're mostly gone. But we're still hanging in there. Because my sisters and brothers and my father, he was in it too. He was in the first art fair and a few more after that. So that's how long that I've been associated with the fair. I've seen a lot of changes in it, but it's as you could see, it's still going strong. Yeah, that's a mother and child, African mother and child, which I did a few like that. And the second one, yeah, well, that's a carnival girl. That was the Caribbean carnival time, and we used to have all those different costumes and stuff, and the little kids participated. That's just a portrait of a young girl, which I see a lot of, folks seem to like paintings that they could hang in their living room, even if it's not a portrait of someone they know. They look like, they always end up by looking like someone they know. I was just trying a different technique, so that's about all I can say about that one. I'm just trying different styles and different techniques. Oh, I have been told that I don't do enough boys, and when I come to think of it, they were right. So that's why I make sure that every exhibit I have at least one or two boys in it to show that I'm okay.
That was the bottom boy.
Oh, I noticed a lot of fathers like that picture because it looked like their son with the cap turned backwards, see? And then that's a typical little black boy. I figure that everyone will sort of associate with it. Oh, that's a portrait of a young girl. I don't remember what the name of it was. But that's a lot of that also reminds most everyone of someone they know. Oh, that's a young girl with a turban, and it also shows a little difference in the technique from the one that was shown previously. And I also have try to have as much of a variety of different children and adults, since that's how our race is. It's very, very much of a variety of different, and that's what I try to bring out in some of my paintings, is the diversity of the black race. Okay, Violet Chandler, you could contact me if you like on Meredith Chandler's Facebook, And any information you want, you can get from her if you.
Yeah, Meredith Chandler's Facebook page.
Yes, Meredith. That's what I said. Meredith Chandler, my daughter. Her Facebook page. You could get any information you want to know about any art or anything you might be interested in, or want to see more of it. So that's it.
Okay, so this is the basically this is the end of the Artistic Talent Show, where we are again at the Bric Art Medium on the second floor at the mini studio, and I'm with two fantastic, outstanding, magnificent, inspirational, uplifting artists, and they're going to give their last word, and I will probably later on put their names and information where you can reach them. So again, they're going to tell you who they are and they last what they like to say at the end of the show.
Okay. Well, thank you, Melvin, for having us here. I do want to express my sincere thanks. And I just, without even really thinking about it, it just brings to mind my mother's generation, her father and her siblings, who were all fantastic artists. It's just amazing what they were able to do. Each and every one of them, they were so different, yet their artwork truly spoke for itself. And I just never appreciated it at the time. Now, all of them are no longer, they all have passed on, and and I'm really realizing how great they were, actually. Their artwork, their artwork just spoke volumes, and it's just hard for me to really express how now, just looking back, the way they touched not only my life, but so many people. I've heard so many people are coming to me talking about the Hewitts and what their artwork meant to them. And looking at my mother's artwork, I just see what a talent she was. And I truly am thankful that you're able to have me talk about her work and have others see her work and just truly see how inspiring her artwork is. The children were depicted at the innocence of the children, the serenity, the calmness, the peacefulness. It's just amazing that she was able to capture this. And one thing my mother always said, that she really did not like the way children, specifically Black children, were painted, were illustrated, and she just felt that she truly needed to show the greatness of our children. So I do thank you. I do thank you, and I just hope that more young artists are out there and they're just able to just pick up the paintbrush and continue. Just continue. That's we're now my mother's generation. It's us, and I think about it in those terms, that we are them, and we have to leave.
She used to say that she didn't like the way Black children were depicted because they just looked like kids with suntans. Yeah. And they had no different features. They didn't have their Negroid features. They didn't have the Negroid hair. They didn't have their different shades of color that we all appear as. And that was something that used to disturb her. And as you saw the group picture of them earlier, you see that various shades of children, the various souls. That's the other thing I'd like to say about my mother. She actually captured the children's souls in her paintings. So that was something that we can be grateful for. She and her brothers and father, as a matter of fact, brothers, sisters, and fathers, illustrated a book called Wind and Lights back in the 1930s. It was the first African folktale book. And in that particular publication, each and every one of their talents shone through. All the children were painted by my mother. The muscular warrior types were painted by my uncles, and my grandfather did this magnificent architectural work with the cornices and fine details that prefaced each of the chapters. And that book is still available, I believe, on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. But it was something that they did as a family, as a group effort. So moving forward, I'm happy to say that my mother's great-grandchildren, some of them have picked up the brush. Yes. Thank you, Ava. And they're all trying to find their own niche in the art. Well, I also understand that my niece Erin has started taking painting classes, which I was happy to hear. So this is in the way of a pseudo shout out to Erin and Ashley, Krista, Gerald, and my daughter Brittany. And hopefully will inspire them to follow through. Did I forget anybody? Wow. Of course, there's Gunner, who's too small to know what's going on. And of course, there's Brooklyn, who maybe Brooklyn will pick up a paintbrush. Who knows after watching this. And just as things came naturally to my mother, hopefully that'll come naturally to them, because they're surrounded by people who have been doing this for decades. So that's my wish moving forward, that the next generation will continue as they had before their parents before them. Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank you again. That was very well spoken.
Oh, I forgot Miles.
Okay.
Hi, Miles.
Yeah, if there's any more shout out, this would be the good time. Because, some people, after you done said a few words to, and they looking at it, they said, why come she ain't mentioned me?
Well, I'm going to mention Paula Hewitt, my mother's niece.
Yes,
you're listening,
yes.
Paula? Next year, you're going to be part of this.
She's my mother's brother's daughter, Mark Hewitt, and and Jeffrey Scott, another first cousin, phenomenal artists. Yes. They keep their talents under a wicker basket, and we'd like to shine the light on their talents because they blow me away artistically. I can't hold a candle to either of them.
So, any more?
Did I forget any nieces,
Your
nephews?
brother Mark?
My brother Jimmy. My brother Jimmy is a phenomenal talent. As a matter of fact, his trains are being showcased. He's self-taught. He draws detailed train, looks like schematics almost. And he was featured in Visions magazine a couple of years ago, and it looks like he may be exhibiting one of these days soon. So in Chelsea of all places. So you can stay tuned for that.
Well, this sounds like y'all did all your shout outs. Sounds very good. And I know they will be appreciated that you mentioned their names and they watching you, because you definitely inspire them right now. So again, I want to thank both of y'all. It was my pleasure to have you on my show, the Artistic Talent Show, which airs every Thursday on Cable Vision 67 and Verizon 5042. It comes on twice at 10 a.m. in the morning and again at 6 p.m., which you will be watching both of these inspiring ladies that just gave your magnificent story about their artwork and their mother's artwork, and this is something that one must see. So if there's any more shout outs before we say goodbye.
Wendy, Shelley, Brittany, Jimmy, Michael, Mark.
There's 7 of us.
And whoever you didn't that you forgot,
Donna.
they know you still love them. The love is always there. So
I could go on. We have a very large family.
Yes. So that's a good thing. So this show will be aired. Like I said, I will let the viewers know when. It will be on a Thursday, and will be also a radio, auto where you can just listen to it. So you have 2 different things going on: to listen to it and be inspired, and also watch it visually. So again, my name is Melvin Isaac, and I'm the producer of the Artistic Talent Show. And my website is www.artistictalentinc.web.com. And once again, y'all want to mention your name to the viewers?
Meredith Chandler.
And I'm Violet Chandler.
And that will be it. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank
Bye.
you.
You're welcome.